All right. Again, thank you for joining the GreenGrowth CPAs webinar today. So today we're going to talk about the importance of inventory management for cannabis-based businesses. Now, I have some slides I'd like to cover. I think it's like 25 to 30 minutes, probably most. And then I'll explain a few things there, and then we'll hop into questions. So stay around for the live after. We'll go ahead and answer your questions, drop them into the chat as they come up, then I can prep for them, and we can go ahead and get started here with that presentation. Now, again, if you're watching on the replay, you can reach out to us via our website at greengrowthcpas.com and click that Get Started button on the top right corner. And then you can have our team will reach out to you and see if we can help you out with your cannabis business. And you can also call us at 800-674-9050. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. And again, let me pull these slides back up. So again, thank you for joining our webinar today, and our topic is inventory management for cannabis-based businesses, and this presentation is brought to you by GreenGrowth CPAs. Now, a little bit about GreenGrowth CPAs before we get started. We are a cannabis-only tax and finance firm, and we can help you with your tax preparation, audits of your financials, and helping defend against audits with the IRS. We can help with business valuations, financial compliance and the regulations around those. We have an outsourced CFO service that can help you really get a grip around your numbers and improve the financial performance of your cannabis business, as well as get you ready to go public on the markets. Now, we have hundreds of active clients throughout the entire United States, as well as international clients, and we service all verticals in the cannabis industry. From cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, processors, retailers, delivery services. If you're in the cannabis industry and you're touching cash, or you have some financial questions or issues, then we are the firm that is able to help you get a grip on those numbers and move forward and make better business decisions for your cannabis company. Now, before we get started, I need to let you know that the information contained in this presentation is meant for guidance purposes only and not as professional legal or tax advice. And further, it does not give any personalized legal, tax, investment, or any business advice in general. So with that out of the way, let's review what we're going to cover in today's webinar. So first, we're going to talk about the importance of inventory management. I know sometimes this can become one of those afterthoughts. Oh man, we've got to count our inventory and make sure it's going well. But we're going to talk about the importance of inventory management. Then we're going to talk a little bit about inventory costing and give you an overview of that. I'm not going to go through too detailed on it, give you a 30,000 foot look, and then we'll move from there. Because next we're going to talk about inventory software considerations. There's a lot of software out there that you can implement in your cannabis business, but we're going to give you a few considerations, not the full list, but enough considerations to get you started with choosing the right software or tech stack for your cannabis business. And then from there, we're going to move into some miscellaneous inventory best practices, things you can roll into your business and see material results right away. So first, why is inventory management critical to the success of your cannabis business? First, it's going to give an improved customer experience. Fresh product is always better than old, stale product that was sometimes forgotten, but then sold by the retailer and the supplier because they found it in the back, right? One of those bad interactions with your older inventory could be the last time that someone interacts with your cannabis business. Worst of all is if it's the first interaction with your cannabis business. So make sure that you have fresh inventory, first in, first out. Just the basic movement of the inventory is important for that customer experience. But if you're willingly offering older inventory, consider adding a discount and surely make the customer or the client aware that the inventory is old or it's discounted to account for the age of that inventory. The next reason that inventory management is critical to the success of your cannabis business is that governments and regulators are watching. They're keeping that eagle eye on the cannabis industry. So not only does proper inventory management techniques keep money from slipping through the cracks in your business, but those techniques also protect you from major fines, taking away your license by the regulators, or even a potential arrest, depending on the gravity of your inventory mismanagement. Now, all states have their own regulatory frameworks, but these intense and often confusing regulations do serve an important purpose in the industry. So, by closely monitoring cannabis inventory, the local government can spot when regulated cannabis products are diverted to the illicit market, or if there's any illicit products trying to make their way into the regulated market. Now, without these regulations regarding inventory management and tracking it, it would be more likely for these cities to see cash and tax revenue diverted out of the regulated industry and not into the hands of the cities to use as they promise to their constituents when they legalize cannabis. Another reason that inventory management is critical to success is that it helps you find issues sooner rather than later. Now, no matter what business you are in the cannabis industry, nearly every onboarding that we do for our clients, they have an underlying inventory issue. And that is likely the same case for you too. It could be something very basic. Old inventory just aging out, it's not really that good to sell. Or counts that are just not done right. If you're not doing your inventory counts at all, or if you're not accounting for it properly. Maybe also another issue is that your value of the inventory is not booked properly. And there are many other issues that you could run into. But you understand that inventory is not that big in cannabis. With a retailer, you're not dealing with millions and millions of pieces. Again, it's not like we're maintaining or counting an Amazon warehouse of goods. So it's not that burdensome to take it seriously, but it's still very easy to make mistakes on. Every local government develops robust laws regarding their inventory tracking and reporting for cannabis businesses. So you will have to regularly enforce inventory audits, counting of your physical inventory in your store or in your warehouse or in your cultivation space, and comparing it to the inventory reported on the state seed to sale tracking systems like Metric. Now, if there are any discrepancies or issues, local governments may expect that those actually get reported to them, and failure to comply will cost you money, will potentially cost you money, and potentially cost you your license. So make sure that you're getting all of these issues remedied sooner rather than later. And lastly, another key point about the importance of inventory management is that inventory systems and having them in place and running smoothly will allow you to make better business choices, such as, should we buy more of this product? How much should we buy and when? Or another choice you may have to make is, should we increase buying third-party flower instead of producing our own to make concentrates? Having your inventory costing done properly and accurately can help you answer that very detailed question that could change the trajectory of your cannabis business. Now, inventory management data is a treasure chest for actionable business insights. But again, in order to get these insights, these numbers must be translated into meaningful reports, and the data coming in needs to be accurate and complete, right? There's a saying out there called garbage in, garbage out. If you put bad data into your inventory management system, you're going to get garbage reports coming out. So make sure that these systems are running smoothly and the data going in is accurate. But rather than crunching numbers on your own, cannabis business owners can actually rely on inventory management software and other softwares that can actually produce high quality reports with potential actionable insights, as well as when you work with a CPA who's experienced in the cannabis industry, they can help you make sense of all of those reports. So make sure that you have the right systems in place to make smart choices for your cannabis business, which can ultimately lead to a more valuable business in the end. So next, let's talk about cannabis inventory costing, and I'll give you an overview of this. Again, a 30,000-foot look. So inventory costing is the process of assigning value to your inventory and thus to your cost of goods sold. That's the magic in accounting for the cannabis industry, cost of goods sold. Now, though all inventory costing involves assigning a value to your cost of goods sold, there are a number of costing methods. You have things like FIFO, which is first in, first out, or you also have LIFO, which is last in, first out, and you also have average cost and weighted average. Now, inventory costing also helps you answer certain questions about your business, such as, what is my true cost per pound as a cultivator? Or what is my true cost per gram of oil as a manufacturer? Or as a retailer, what is the actual true cost of my products aside from just buying the products? Are there any other indirect costs that I have to incur to sell this product to an end user in the retail space? But understanding the answers to these questions then allows you to understand things like your margins and your profitability, right? Knowing how much you sell it for, very, very easy. But accounting for all the indirect costs of the product can be quite difficult. And we know this from experience. We do this day in and day out. But once you know it, you can make intelligent choices about your cannabis business. And a side note here about inventory costing, it's very, very difficult and complex to measure for the cultivators and for the manufacturers. You have crop inventory and work in progress or plants in progress. I understand it can be very difficult to do this, but it's very, very important that you get your true cost per pound and know your true cost per gram of oil or whatever you're producing so you can make smart choices about your business. Now, you may be asking, well, how does this tie to 280E? That's the one thing I know about accounting in cannabis. Well, with 280E, the goal is to reasonably allocate as many costs into COGS as possible. But what if you have a huge production month or many production months and then huge selling months that don't coincide with each other? That would be large expenses with no revenue and large revenues with no expenses if you're doing cash accounting. Now, that can make your books look a little wonky, right? This means that you could have complications with taxes and getting a true and accurate representation of your business's performance. Here's a concrete example of this. Maybe you grow outdoor cannabis and your COGS are building up as your plants grow for many, many months, but you have no revenue to offset those COGS, so you're operating at a loss month after month. Now, then you sell that cannabis in a one-deal thing, and after all those expenses have been incurred, now you have a huge revenue with no expenses to reduce your tax exposure in the period in which you made those sales. And that's a problem, especially if those straddle years. Now, using accrual accounting can smooth out these waves and give you a more accurate view of your business. So let's get a little bit technical here so you really understand what I'm saying. Right? There are two primary ways to do accounting. There's the cash basis and the accrual method. Now, under cash basis accounting, income is recorded only when received and expenses only when they're paid. And that's regardless of when either is actually incurred, those expenses or those revenues. Now, this differs significantly from the accrual method in which income and expenses are recorded on your books as soon as they are incurred, even if no money is received or paid out until long, long afterward. Now, these differences highlight why it is necessary to use accrual basis accounting to track inventory. Inventoried goods must be accounted for at the start and the end of a tax year. Without tracking purchases and sales on an accrual basis, cash basis principles would lead to a large discrepancy between the inventory accounting and reported expenses and income. And further, businesses with inventories almost exclusively use accrual basis accounting to record their inventory, even if they may use cash basis otherwise in their accounting. And this is the same with many cannabis businesses. So, tying this all back to 280E, let's make a roundabout here. Proper inventory costing allows you to make reasonable allocations of particular indirect costs where it's good and where you follow the guidance of 1-471 to show the true cost of your inventory, which allows you to maximize your cost of goods sold in the periods in which those actually get sold, and you can get a better look at your numbers. Now, accrual accounting allows you to book expenses and income when they actually are incurred, which gives you a more accurate representation of your business's real performance. And lastly, inventory costing is probably the most labor-intensive and analysis-intensive part of the accounting for a cannabis business, and that's why it's overlooked so often. But again, it's incredibly important to get this right for so many reasons, as we've previously discussed, but primarily to get a true and accurate representation of your business's real performance. So we've talked about cannabis inventory management and why it's critical to success. We talked a little bit about inventory costing and an overview of that. So let's talk about some of the software tools and considerations that you may need to think about when implementing a tech stack into your cannabis business. Now, first, you want to get something that is cannabis specific. Now, cannabis retailers, dispensaries, delivery drivers, cultivators, manufacturers, they all face a unique set of challenges related to the inventory tracking for their particular vertical. Now, cannabis businesses have inventory management needs that traditional systems just aren't really that equipped to handle. Not every basic inventory tracking system has a way to plug into metric. So that's why you need to get something cannabis specific, right? You've got that seed to sale tracking and inventory management. It directly impacts your cannabis business's profitability and compliance with tax regulations. Therefore, it's critical that a cannabis business uses software built specifically for their use case. Now, when you're shopping and looking around, you may see some all-in-one software systems, but most of the software suites out there will focus on one vertical. They'll do really, really well in that, and then they'll add other modules to be a quote-unquote all-in-one system. Just look for one that works really, really well for your particular vertical, and if you expand verticals later down the road, you can potentially add those additional modules in. Now, finding systems or a tech stack that works well for your cannabis business is very, very difficult. It can be actually overwhelming. So if you need help with determining the technology stack that's best for your cannabis business in the vertical that you're in, please reach out to our team. We do this day in and day out. We can walk you through exactly what you're going to need for your particular business. Now, when selecting a cannabis inventory software, you want to think about the integrations that are possible and those that are coming down the pipeline. Now, there are 3 basic thoughts around integrations. First, does it integrate with your local seed-to-sale program? Again, nearly all states require that cannabis retail stores and everybody else within the supply chain actually report their inventory and their sales transactions to that state-administered seed-to-sale program every day or some time of period, whatever that's going to be. So any inventory management system that you invest in should integrate directly with your state seed-to-sale program, which helps eliminate any manual reporting or formatting issues, and it helps you save time, money, and the risk of costly compliance errors. So that's number 1. Make sure it integrates with your seed-to-sale software. Now, the second consideration around those integrations is going to be hardware, right? Manually inputting all product information or sales data is going to be a costly use of your staff and people's time, and it opens your business up to compliance risks. So before investing in an inventory management software for your cannabis business, which, hey, that could be your POS system, some of them have them built in already, be sure that it can integrate with any hardware, right? Things like barcode scanners, tablets, computers, things you already have in your business, or things that you're looking to purchase. And building on that hardware, does your inventory management system actually integrate with other software systems? Cannabis is such a young industry, and you're not going to see a full, beautiful, all-in-one system that supports every little use case throughout the industry. So when implementing any service provider into your technology stack, do your best to choose someone that either has some type of API or at least the ability to connect to other software systems via exports and imports. This can help, again, reduce those human input errors and surely improve the efficiency with closing your books every month, right? Your inventory management system has to talk to QuickBooks at some point, whether that's automatic or manual. That's something that's going to be based on the software systems that you choose, but something that does have an API that talks back and forth would be great to reduce the time to close your books every month. Next, when you're choosing some type of inventory software or any software in cannabis, you want to consider data security and redundancy of that data, meaning does it repeat other places in case something does crash, you have access to that data. Now, again, this is important for everyone in cannabis, but especially for the retailers. So whatever inventory management system you decide for your cannabis business, it's critical and very, very important to make sure that your provider can keep your data safe. You don't want any, especially consumer data, getting out into the wild, because you could open yourself up to litigation and legal matters down the road. So when evaluating a technology partner, make sure they can provide secure servers and a cloud-based service that ensures that your data is going to be scalable, it's secure in the cloud, and available whenever, wherever you need it, right? Sometimes hardware fails. You don't want everything sitting on one server in your office or in your retailer or in your warehouse. Make sure you get a cloud-based software for your cannabis business. And lastly, when evaluating your inventory management systems, this is a bonus, it's not a requirement, but see if it has the ability to produce any type of reports. Not only will your state require certain reports, right? Things like sales transactions, inventory audits, inventory discrepancies, but your inventory management system should go above and beyond your local government's reporting requirements. You know, the inventory system paired with your QuickBooks should be your most powerful tool for understanding the financials of your business and the performance of your business, right? The inventory technology you choose to use should give you some insight around key metrics, including, but not limited to, things like your inventory turnover, the product's sales performance, right? What's your product mix, gross margin, and shrinkage. Now, again, if you need help with determining a technology stack that is best for your cannabis business, then please reach out to us. We understand it can be an overwhelming task, and that's why we're here to help you out. Now, the last thing I want to cover in the webinar today is going to be miscellaneous inventory best practices. These are things that we've seen from the field that work, that could and should be implemented in your cannabis business. First and foremost, you want to assign someone as the inventory manager, someone that is going to be the last person that has a say in how the inventory is managed and everything that has to do with the inventory. And this is especially important for the dispensaries. Now, this inventory manager can oversee the flow of your merchandise, the inventory audits, the reconciliations of those pieces of data, the procedures and training around the procedures of inventory management, and much, much more. They're that last person that has to make all the choices and hold the responsibility. Now, they'll need to work closely with other departments, including your compliance department, your accounting department, your purchasing department, as well as your front of house salespeople. You don't want this task of inventory management just floating out there in the ether and no one taking responsibility for it. Make sure that someone is responsible for inventory and they know they're responsible for inventory. Next, you should consider mapping out your whole inventory flow and the process of the movement of your inventory. Right? This includes things like the steps from receiving inventory to auditing the inventory before it comes in, how you monitor your stock levels, reordering procedures and criteria around that, who is responsible for each of these tasks, and much, much more. When you start to map it out, you see how big and pervasive the inventory management process is and how integral it is to the entire business. And then once you get it mapped out, you can see what can be automated, such as maybe kicking off a report in a software that then sends an email to a manager to do an inventory room walkthrough and an audit or a reconciliation, right? Things like that. Look for those efficiencies. And once you see your business operations and steps on your paper, you can actually also find points of failure. Where can this process go wrong and cause issues for us? Or look for ways to compress certain steps. Or see if there's a proper division of duties. You don't want someone collecting the inventory, counting the inventory, and auditing the inventory because inventory will somehow find legs and walk out of the building. It's just how this stuff happens, no matter what the industry is. Next, you want to make sure that you're doing your month-end counts. Now, this seems so basic, but there are so many companies that we work with, and when we onboard them into our CFO service, we realize and see that they've not done any counts of inventory at all. Maybe they've done an annual count, but you need to do a month-end count. Because with inventory, it's a snapshot in time. And I'm not sure if you knew this, but we can't go back in time and get those numbers, right? We can estimate it, but it's not an accurate representation of the business's true performance. And not counting will hold back the closing of all your financials for that month or for that period, especially if you're doing annual financials. So make sure that someone is doing a physical walkthrough, checking the products, their age, and their quality, or whatever type of requirements your regulations force you to do, but at least those. And lastly here, consider changing from cash basis to accrual basis accounting. Now, you cannot represent your books or your business properly in the best way possible if you're not doing an accrual basis for your books. And in most cases, accrual accounting adjustments or the basis on a method of accrual accounting is not something that your $25 an hour bookkeeper can handle, but surely they can assist in the matter. Now, this is where GreenGrowth CPAs comes in. Your bookkeeper can maintain the books and the activity, the basic journal entries here and there, and then we come in with our team every month, review your books, make any accrual adjustments, and then you're on your way to getting a more accurate representation of your financial performance during that period. And here's a reason why you should consider moving to the accrual basis for your accounting. Since EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, that EBITDA it's based on accrual accounting figures, and it doesn't accurately represent cash that the company has collected, but just what it's earned on paper. But this is how many investors measure your financial performance for the period. When they're looking at 3 or 4 different investments, they may compare EBITDA for each of those companies to see where they want to place their money. And a second example of this is if you want to match expenses and revenues together for a look at your profitability, then you're going to need to move to accrual accounting to take costs from inventory and flush them through COGS when you sell that product at the period that you sell that product. Now, because as we said before, you may spend lots of money building up your inventory, and then months later, you're going to sell that inventory. So in a cash basis, you'll never have a clean P&L to see how you actually perform during a period. If you have those big gaps, right, lots of production months, and then later some selling months, you're going to have to wait for a full aggregate annual P&L to see how your company's doing. And also, when you go to sell your business, potential M&A partners are going to want to see the books for your business from an accrual standpoint. So it's best to just be ready and not have to, do a whole book overhaul when you go to sell the company. Because again, you're not going to be able to go back in time to reconcile the numbers and make sure that things are lining up properly. So hopefully this webinar has provided you with some value and helped you to better understand the thoughts and considerations around inventory management procedures, the software, and a few best practices that you can roll into your business right away. Now, if you need help with inventory management for your cannabis business, then please reach out to us via our website at greengrowthcpas.com or give us a call at 800-674-9050. Again, we help hundreds of clients every year work with their accounting systems, make sure that things are being booked properly, moved properly, accounted for properly, so that they can get a real grip on the financial performance of their cannabis business. So again, if you need help with inventory management, maybe you need an outsourced CFO, or you need help with any other accounting matters related to your cannabis business, then please reach out to us via our website at greengrowthcpas.com or give us a call at 800-674-9050. And thank you again for taking the time to join for today's webinar. I'm going to pull these slides down and go ahead and answer any questions that you have before we close the session today. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that presentation there. There may be some questions that you have, so go ahead and drop them into the chat, whether you're on Webinar Jam or you're on YouTube, and we'll get to those questions here. So just let us know. And again, if you need help with any of the things we covered, inventory management, accounting, finance, anything cash and cannabis, our firm can help out with. So let us know if we can help you out with that. Again, drop any questions in there. Good to go. Tree said here from YouTube, very informative. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think you've joined a few of our live streams here. So thank you for joining and being consistent with it. This education side of thing, with cannabis being such a new and young industry, there's a lot of things that develop, every quarter, every month, sometimes every day and every hour. But thank you for joining on that live stream consistently. Appreciate it. All right. So Adriana Gomez asks here, do you help set up a chart of accounts for the accounting department? That's exactly one of the tasks we do for our CFO service. So a chart of accounts is integral and pretty much the most important thing when you start your accounting. How you book your transactions, how you, classify transactions, all these things are very, very important. So yes, we do offer help with a chart of accounts for your cannabis business. You can reach out to us. You can do just an ad hoc engagement for just that, or we have the brief onboarding of kind of, tying up the entire accounting system. Ongoing service. So if you're interested in getting a chart of accounts for your cannabis business or need help with the outsourced CFO service, go ahead, visit our website, greengrowthcpas.com, click that Get Started button, fill out a form. Either Adam or Sean or Lawrence will reach out to you. We'll get that conversation started. Also on YouTube, we have a video specifically on chart of accounts. It's not like, hey, here's the Excel file for the chart of accounts, but go ahead and check out that video if you want any more information on that, and then we can go ahead and give you help with that. So good question. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and see if there's any other questions on YouTube. Also, if you have any other questions aside from specifically inventory management, if there's any other cannabis industry questions, let me know. We can jump into those here. I don't mind waiting, getting into it instead of waiting till the end. How we do the monthly update, which our update this month is going to have a very, very special guest, politician in the tax space in California. Someone we've worked with, I think, in the past. So it's going to be very, very informative and helpful for you. That's coming up in 2 weeks here. So again, if you have any other questions, drop them into the chat and we can go ahead and get those answered. Nice. All right. No questions yet. I'll wait around for a minute. I need to take a drink of water. Been talking for a while. All right. Drop the questions in, y'all. I got a lot of good things I can answer here if you need help with anything. I think one thing I saw, at least on another private question on YouTube here, is, what software is there for my particular vertical? And one thing I want to just kind of explain here is that everyone's situation is going to be different, right? You may be a pure just retail, or you may be a pure manufacturer. Maybe you're pure distro, or you're vertically integrated and you have every vertical, or you have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Now, just some softwares to put it out there. I had looked through this, and we recommend, before I even recommend any softwares, and these are not endorsements or recommendations, just things to look at so you can see what softwares are out there. But before we jump into those, just understand that everyone's situation is going to be different, right? You're going to have a unique budget, a unique use case, a unique business structure and setup, things that you verticals that you focus on primarily versus, some secondary or tertiary verticals. So just dispensary software, things you can look at, and it depends on if you're storefront or if you're delivery. You've got Trees, WebJoint, Indica, MJ Freeway, Kova, FlowHub. I'm sure I'm missing some more, but those are some basic ones to get started, at least researching, and make them compete for your business, right? Don't just take the first one that does the nice presentation. Make sure that you're actually pressing them on the issues we talked about earlier. One of the most important ones is going to be integrations, pushing them. Hey, does it integrate with this? I have this software. I have this hardware. Does it integrate with this? Or if not, when is that coming down the pipeline? So I know that, hey, we're going to be secure after 90 days, things like that. Now, for manufacturers and cultivators, there's lots of softwares out there for this, but you can look at GrowHub, Trellis, FlowHub, I think also does for manufacturers and cultivators. Not 100% sure, but also an MJ Freeway. So look into those. That may be some softwares you can explore. But again, if you need help building your entire technology stack, right? Things from your POS system to your accounting software, to your inventory management, your cultivation management software, your ERP system, right? There's all these little pieces you got to put together. We understand it can be very overwhelming. So reach out to us. We can walk you through the process and the framework of picking the right tech stack for your cannabis business, for your use case. And reach out to us again via the website, greengrowthcpas.com, or give us a call at 800-674-9050. Now, I don't see any other questions jumping in to either of the chats here. So let me check again. Oh, we got one right here. GoTree asks, is a bit off topic and an opinion request. All right, let's see what he's got. If you go with solar or wind power for your operations, do the tax benefits offset the cash outlay? You get conflicting answers. This is an amazing question. I appreciate this question. So pretty much when you go for solar, right, there are going to be different tax credits depending on your location. You're going to have 3 levels of tax credits and even a 4th level. You're going to have your your federal tax credits, your state tax credits, potentially local municipality tax credits, and a credit potentially, it's not a tax credit, but a credit from the person who is actually, or the business that's supplying your solar stuff. Now, few ways to take this. It's all going to depend on where you're located for those particular tax credits. So I can't give you a yes or no on that. But we met with Outpost Cannabis, and I believe what Jeff had said is that Santa Barbara, I don't know if it's the county or the city that requires this, but they require a certain amount of power being drawn on solar compared to being pulling off the actual grid. So when you go for licensing, look at these type of requirements for infrastructure. If you're required for solar infrastructure, then look at the tax credits and benefits for that particular solar requirement, if they have that, right? Now, to step back and look at maybe another 25,000 foot look at it, your cannabis company cannot take any credits or deductions because of 280E. So when you go to implement solar, you may want to whip up a new entity that purchases that solar, implements it, installs it, does all of that stuff, and then they lease that technology or the use of that technology to your cannabis company. Now, look, I haven't explored this in full detail, looking at regulations, looking at particular specifics on anything like that, but that's just one thing that jumps to top of mind, right? 280E very explicitly says no credits or deductions should be allowed for anyone trafficking a Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 controlled substance. So look into that. Now, if you're, again, really looking into solar, reach out to us. We can do a quick back of the envelope for you based on your specific municipality. This is a great engagement for a quick consultation. 1 hour consult, give you that good back of the envelope calculations, right? It's not going to be to the penny, but at least we can give you that gut check and that acid test and say, all right, this is going to be net positive by a long margin, or it may break even, or it may be a net negative. So a lot of different options to look there. Again, Goat Tree, thank you very much for that question. So if you have questions about solar, reach out to us and we can walk you through that. All right. I haven't seen any other questions here on Webinar Jam. I'll wait on one more thing. I'm going to say one more statement here about things that we want to share, but go ahead, drop any other questions in. So one thing, we are hiring another CPA. We've been hiring pretty much a new person every 2 weeks here at GreenGrowth CPA since the beginning of the year. So amazing growth, but it's very hard to find quality CPAs. So if you or somebody you know wants to become a CPA in the cannabis industry or is a CPA and would like to move into the cannabis industry, look, introduce them to us, reach out to us, have them go to our website, click on the GreenGrowth CPA's website. At the top, it says careers. You can scroll through that page, learn a little bit what it's like to work at GreenGrowth CPAs, what our benefits packages are, and then you can see all of the open positions. I believe that the second one down is going to be the CPA position. Click on that, read the requirements, then head down to the bottom of the job, and you can apply for the job right on our website. It's not like Monster where you got to fill out 100 different things. It's very easy. Who you are, how to contact you, upload your resume, and then our HR team, Sarah, will reach out to you and she'll get that moving forward for you and put you through the interview process if you fit the qualifications for that. So again, if you're looking for a job or want a new job or someone wants a new job as a CPA, reach out to us. And there's also other positions. I believe we're looking for a technical licensing writing application person. So if you are into writing applications, the technical side of it, pairing the regulations with particular SOPs and working on that, we'd love to have you for that and any other position that's on the job on the website there. I'm not sure what all of them are. I believe we're hiring for 4 people right now. So go ahead and check that out. All right, so Joseph asks here, what software is great from a cloud perspective? I wrote in the presentation here and I talked about that you need to have a great amount of, flexibility in how to access your data, and you need that data security. So pretty much every software that is out there, and I'm just going to go out on a limb, I'll say probably the top 10 POS softwares or any of the top 5 manufacturing, cultivation, management softwares are going to be cloud-based, right? They know that you have many terminals, but one of the things you're going to run into is that with cloud-based softwares, they may charge you a per terminal fee, and that's going to be with most POS services. They're going to charge you a monthly service fee per terminal, and then you're also going to run into potential, they call them hot seats or licenses, right? Each each person using the software is going to need their own license. An example of this is like HubSpot, right? We have our own amount of licenses for HubSpot. That's just a basic CRM software, but just to get an idea that recommendation specifically, because I don't want to endorse any particular group out there. I don't want to do that. But, from a cloud perspective, pretty much any of the top 5 or 10, specifically the ones that are well-funded. I didn't bring this up, and I should have. I think I brought this up in a prior video. When you go to look at softwares as well, one of the things is how long has this software been around and how long will it be around? And the first one, how long has it been around? Easy to look at the founding date and how long they've been around. But how long will they be around? That is a function of many things, but a lot of it has to do with how well they are funded. So you look at groups like FlowHub, they've raised like 20-some, 30-some $million. They're probably going to be here for the long haul, at least for the next couple of years, unless something catastrophic happens. So look at groups that are well funded, because that kind of puts you in 2 positions here, or 2 perspectives to look at. They're going to be around for a while. They're probably going to build more functionality, and they're going to attract great talent to build a better product. So just be thoughtful on, hey, yes, someone may give you a cheaper rate per month as a POS software, promise you the world, and then in 6 months, they just cannot deliver the product that they promised to you. So, another thing to look at when you're going for softwares is look at, success cases and, spotlights. Do they have clients that are willing to talk to you and tell you how great their software is, how it's improved their business? That's, I think, critical as well. Getting recommendations from people that are local in your area. Talk to other operators within your specific vertical, and then have them tell you, all right, hey, I use this, and this. I like this part here, but this one could be improved. Get feedback from real users. Every company is going to tell you how great they are. They're not going to tell you about, hey, we have these limitations or this nuanced detail that you need to have. We don't have that yet. It's not going to be in production for another 65 days. Just be thoughtful around that. So hopefully that helps out there with explaining which is the best cloud, that there's really not the best cloud. I don't want to give an endorsement. All right. George, hey, good to see you. George is working with us. It's good to have you on the live stream here. George, thanks for joining. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions being dropped in here. So we've done a great presentation, I think, for 40 minutes or so here. So again, thank you for joining our webinars. Hopefully these provide you with some value. You understand things in a little bit different perspective. Not trying to be salesy in anything, but give you that information that can make you and empower you to make better business choices for your cannabis business. Now, if you have any questions about accounting, finance, anything, cash and cannabis, please reach out to us via our website at greengrowthcpas.com or give us a call at 800-674-9050. So we're going to sign off now. Again, thank you very much for your time. Have a great rest of your Wednesday and have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.